So today I want to go over using off-camera flash and make it as easy as possible for everyone. And we're going to do this with the Godox V1 Pro and the new Nano X3 remote. And we're going to use something called TCM. So let's go over just something that's really, really simple to do so you can start right from the get-go and get good images on your off-camera flash. Now, the first mistake people make is setting this camera in any kind of automatic mode, whether it be aperture priority, shutter priority, or auto ISO. We don't want that because the camera is constantly going to be making decisions despite what the TTL reading is. So we want to get our reading first off our ambient, which is very, very simple. And most of you know how to do this, but I'm going to point the camera towards the subject. I'm just going to look at the back of the camera and it's showing me what my readings are. So right now it's showing me 1/400th of a second, f2.8, and I'm at ISO 400. Okay, so I'm happy with that. But I'm going to take it down to ISO 200 so we can get a little bit more flash involved in this. So now I'm at 1/200th of a second, f2.8 at 200 ISO. So I'm going to switch this over to manual and I'm going to make those settings on the camera. And I'm going to take my first image, take a look at it, and say, okay, this is the kind of background I want. That's a good exposure for me. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn on our flash. So we're going to put the flash in TTL mode, okay? And on our flash remote here, we're going to put this into TTL mode. So there it is in TTL mode. Before you do this, and on many flashes, there's a setting on the Godox flashes, and I just want to show you where it's at. So we're going to go under Settings, and then we're going to look for TCM. When you get to TCM, it's usually going to be in the off mode. Okay, we want to switch that to the on mode. Click, turn it. Now, depending on what flash you're using, this is for the V and the TT series, but they have the AD100, the AD200, the AD300, and so forth. But since I'm using the V1, I'm going to put it right here. Okay, so it's in the on mode now, it's in the flash mode I want, and I'm ready to go. Okay, so the first shot I'm going to take is in TTL mode. So to me, that's really bright. So we're going to retry that really quick and see if we can get a better exposure. And this will happen quite a bit in some TTL modes and depending on your backdrop and the light around. So now we have a better exposure. Now all I have to do is go into this and tap TTL, and it'll switch it over to manual, and it's giving my manual reading right there on what the flash TTL read. So if I have that 1/32nd of a power, I know this is where my power is going to be. Now this is in manual, and we can take the shots, and I'm getting the same exposure every time, no matter where I move or how I move, and it's still in manual. Okay, the other thing, we may have a black background with a black dress or a white background with a white dress, and this really throws off TTL. So let me show you a little trick on how to overcome that. Okay, so we're going to go back into TTL mode, and I'm going to come up close to my subject and try to fill my lens with as much of the face as I can without all the extras around. Okay. It may seem kind of intrusive at times, but if you just talk to your subject, they won't mind, trust me. I just want to get a really quick reading, and then I'll step away. So I took my reading. Now it's meter reading off the face and the skin only, okay? So I have a good exposure, and now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to switch it over from TTL to manual. Now if I come back, now it's reading just off the face, and it's exposing just for the face, and I get my correct exposure. So that's as simple as it could possibly get with flash. Now other flashes, like let's say we're using a Pro Photo, it doesn't have this mode because it just shows you where it's at automatically. So let me just switch over here. And I'll just do this handheld really quick instead of putting it in the case. But I'll turn my remote on auto. Turn my flash on, make sure it's in TTL. So it shows me right off the back that it's 5.6. Now I can immediately switch this back into manual mode and it'll stay at 5.6. I don't have to go through the steps of a menu or anything like that. It tells me right on the back what it fired at. The Godox flashes don't do that, and that's why they have the TCM mode. But this is the same thing. You know, it just does the same thing, and then you can adjust it as you will on the back if it's too light or too bright. Anyway, this is how easy it is to use this. And remember, no matter what remote you're using, even if you have the Godox, the X2, so even if you have this X Pro 2, this has the same thing in settings. You just go into settings, so menu, and then you go down to TCM, and then you turn it on to whatever flash you're using. This is the same thing, it works the same way, okay? So whatever remote you have, if you have the X Pro 2 or the new Nano, it doesn't matter, it'll work with these flashes. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, leave them below. But I just wanted to give you just that starting point of using flash and how to get the correct exposure from the start. And then you can make your fine adjustments. Anyway, and remember, keep your camera on manual, not auto ISO either, because it won't work as well. It just fluctuates and the camera is constantly making the decisions for you. Thanks for watching as always.